Hey everyone, back with another video, and this time I wanted to check out this here Ruger by Ádám Bodorics, Swordmaker. Before we get to that though, formalities out of the way, as per usual. So, first and foremost, bought this with my own money, but Ádám was aware that there was going to be a review. The general structure of the video is going to be the same as always, i.e. there will be my talking bit now, then I'll go over the ordering process, and then things I've noticed about this piece, pros, cons, things worth telling. There will be a picture with the stats again at the end, so you can pause and look at that. Some more pictures of it, so you can look at those. There will be no free play at the end of this video, simply because we've already got a number of videos out there of these here being used. So I'm just going to post the links down so you can check those out, be it on our own channel or at our friend over at Virtual Fechtschule by Oscar. One thing I need to point out in particular here with this one though, is that, as I said, Ádám was aware that there was going to be a review. And that is because I of course own a number of pieces by Landsknecht's Emporium, his company, as well as customs made under his own brand, which is Ádám Bodorics Swordmaker. On top of that, Ádám and I are talking regularly, and I get way more insight into how these pieces are made than you could reasonably really hope for. So it's just, I could see this one being made, really. I got pictures of the progress, and I talked to him about his thoughts behind it. So this is just a giant bias that I can't really get rid of. Now, it's basically always impossible to really be unbiased in any kind of review you do, but you really have to keep in mind that when I review products from Landsknecht's Emporium, and particularly Ádám Bodorics Swordmaker, that I am talking about swords that are made by a friend. Right? That's just something I cannot get out of the system. That being said, though, on with the video. I really hope you can't hear the cat in the background. So, with all this out of the way, ordering process. Well, that's going to be a short one this time around, because there isn't really that much to tell that could be a reference for anyone else. Because, as I said, Ádám and I talk on the regular, so what I did was I had bought two Bauernwehren, Ruger type pieces in the past from him for other people in my club. I always wanted to really have one, but it kind of, fell to the wayside. But the topic came up again when Peter Jonsson was going to give a course about Rugers, what they are, how to make them. And that reminded me that, hey, actually I always wanted one. So I asked Ádám just, hey, would you want to make some? And he did. He was already thinking about it. Of course, he had done them in the past, but he wasn't quite satisfied with how the design looked, so he redesigned them. And that's how this came about. As I said, we talk on the regular. I got updates on how it is made. Nothing you can really hope for or should expect from any maker. And then they were sent to me when they were done with DHL Express and were with me the next day or something like that. In that regard, I've been really lucky in the past. So that's how those came to be and came to me. If you want anything from Ádám, just from his own brand, Ádám Bodorics Swordmaker, just message him. That's probably the best way to go about it. Now, the more interesting part is just what do we actually have here, because this is a Ruger, but what I should really have said is this is a safe Ruger. This is a Ruger made for fencing, and that's an important difference. To really understand why that is so important, let's just go over the stats real quick. So this here has an overall length of 72.5-ish centimeters. Of that, 53.5 is the blade, and then you have a length of the grip that's about 15 centimeters. The width of the grip is 15 centimeters, and then it gets broader to the back where it's like 36, and then you have the beak. Really, it's a flat 2.5 centimeters, 25 millimeters, just, no, not 2.5, 15, 1.5. Just all around, so it's just flat. There's no flaring going on in that regard. No cross, really, but you do have overall 5 centimeters at the base, of which like something more than a centimeter sticks out in this little knob here that is about 7 millimeters to 1 centimeter thick, 7 millimeters to 10. And then you have a rather sturdy Nagel, which sticks out about 2.5 centimeters and is a big one. Now, the blade, that is an interesting part. So the taper goes from 37 millimeters to 34, and then it goes very aggressively to a point. This is a safe 1 centimeter tip. The originals would have an insanely aggressive point. It's vicious looking if you check this out, really. It's part of their charm, but of course, this one needs a tip. Distal taper starts at 5 millimeters, goes down to 4, goes down to 3, and then back to 4 for a thickened tip. What is particularly nice about this blade is just the flex, really, because getting a shorter blade to flex is always a challenge. It's really hard without them getting wobbly, and this blade here manages that. It walks that line, as far as I'm concerned, perfectly. So if you put it on a body weight scale and then press down on it until it shows signs of bending, it is at about 7.5 kilograms. It's not really exact, but just to give an indication, really. That is including the weight of that piece, which comes in at about 585 grams. Point of balance is at about 5.76-ish centimeters. So this here, as it is a blade that is short, or on the shorter end for modern training methods, with a grip that is also on the shorter end for the general HEMA training method. That is very light, very nimble, generally just a joy to fence with. But as I said, this is a safe Ruger. This is a safe variant of it. And that is because if you look at the pieces we have from the historical record, they are a bit different. This is not made after one particular piece. Ádám has styled this. It's kind of like an amalgamation of several pieces that he knows that he has handled. For a Ruger, in the historical context, it's on the longer end when it comes to the blade, really. There were longer ones around, but often shorter, especially if you go into Bauernwehr territory. Then it's just, Bauernwehr can be this, right? Which is, of course, quite a different beast. They weren't too keen on being exact in their words. The word for sword, more often than not, frustratingly, just is sword, really. Just any sword, a sword. The grip is longer than found in the pieces that are still existing, the archaeological evidence. Longer handles like this can be seen in the artwork, but not in the originals we still have this, if I understood Ádám correctly. But he wanted to make it a bit longer so that even if you wear a bigger glove, which you probably want to do because there is no cross going on here, then that you still have a bit of grip showing out still, to make any kind of hooking action with the grip still a bit easier. And also just to give some leeway when it comes to what type of glove you actually can really use with it, because it's frustrating when you make the grip like it would historically have been, then the gloves don't really fit, and then you kind of have to smoosh your fingers into it. It's no fun. This way, you still basically have a compromise between things that are in the ballpark of the historical pieces, but also give a bit of breathing room when it comes to using them for what we do now. Most work really for making it work as a safe free play kind of rugger for fencing is the blade. This is 5mm stock, which is rather common, and as I said, it has a nice flex, wonderful flex actually, especially because it doesn't get wobbly. You still have great blade control, but if we're talking about the originals, then we're more talking about stock that is like 8mm or more. So really quite a lot thicker, nearly double. And the POB of this one, which makes it so nice and nimble to fence with, is at 6-ish centimeters from the strong, from the cross. So the originals sometimes apparently came in a POB that was in half, which is a big difference in handling. And of course, this one had to have a safe point. The originals were, as I said, really aggressive in that. So this one is lovely to fence with, and it does already make a difference compared to a standard messer. The lack of cross is something you have to take into account. You have to rely on the Nagel a bit more. You can actually put the thumb on the back of the blade, which you can't normally do because the cross is in the way, and that's already quite different. But still, this will probably not handle like a more authentically weighted one would, which is something that I'm really looking forward to be doing, and I hope I will be able to do it in the non-too-distant future. But it is something that you have to keep in mind when getting this, right? To make it safe, compromises had to be made. I think Ádám put it that if you make it in the correct dimensions and everything, it's like blunting an axe and calling that safe for free play, which, you can do, but it doesn't make that much of a difference then at some point, really. So keep in mind, not 100% accurate representation. As the piece that it is, though, it is lovely. It is well made. It is real fun to fence with. It does make a difference already because it is shorter and just because you do not have a cross. As Ulrich put it, talking about it, it's interesting that sometimes using this makes messer fencing actually feel a bit more messery compared to the standard messer. Not that I don't like my other messers I have a bunch of them and I love them all, but this one is really interesting. So I can really recommend it. I do not actually have anything to complain about, which is a luxurious and a bit of an odd position to be in at times. The only thing that I did mention to Ádám was that this is still messer fencing, of course, so there's a bunch of action going on with the back of the blade, and the angle for the back edge here was a bit too close to 90 degrees, so we got a bunch of burrs and nicks in there, which is normal, but they were rather sharp. Easy enough to file out, but he mentioned that in the future you'll probably round it off a bit more, just so you don't really have to bother with it as much. But that is really the only thing. Everything else about this is lovely, and I can really recommend them. These are not one-offs. Ádám is making a series of them, I think in the area of around 50-ish at least. So they're out there. He's making them piece by piece. Check out his page if you want some, and shoot him a message if you want one, if they are available, when they are available. And let us know how you like them, if you have them. Personally, I love them. Right. Cheers.